Streaming, we're going live, and we're live. We're going live. Let's go live on the other app that starts with T. Hi, YouTube. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. I'm a little bit late. Sorry, it's 3:12. I try to make the 3 p.m., but can't always make it. There's stuff going on. I'm actually going on vacation soon, so I won't be able to go live other than probably just today, this week. So yeah, let's make it a fun one. Last live was interesting. It seems like the topic of trans like people and whether or not like pronouns should be enforced or used and stuff keeps coming up. Not sure exactly why. I mean, I get that there's a T in here, but it's, you know, LGBTQ plus, and there's not an agenda, right? There's no agenda. Let's see here. Other things that are going on. MAGA is failing. Christians lost the plot. So yeah, I mean, at first I had it as Christianity has lost the plot. I would agree with that, but I think more so I want to talk about how Christians have lost the plot. Christians seem to not want to take responsibility for the others that are using their label, and I think that that's a problem. Not necessarily as much for me as it is for other Christians. It doesn't make you look so great when other people that are claiming they're Christians are saying ridiculous stuff. If you're just coming in, please share the live out. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on TikTok, please double tap the screen. Tap the screen and let's get some likes up. Let's try and get to, like, you know, 5,000 likes or something, hopefully. Otherwise, if you're just coming in and you want to discuss, there's a little request button on TikTok. There's a little pink and blue guy down here. Otherwise, you can type in this URL if you're watching from YouTube, and we can have a discussion. Unfortunately, I cannot bridge the audio between the two, so it's one or the other at any given point. That being said, happy Monday, everybody. Happy post-Easter Monday. How's everybody feeling? You guys a little Easter hungover? Did Easter give you too much joy? Is it a joyous thing? Yeah, I guess. You know, if the guy actually resurrected, then I guess, yeah, it would be a joyous thing. We can talk about that and you know, the just unrealistic way that Jesus could not have, I mean, like, he couldn't have resurrected, right? Nobody else has ever resurrected. I don't think Jesus ever resurrected. But either way, happy Easter, happy post-Easter. I'm not sure what goes on. Wasn't there like a zombie apocalypse like takeover when Jesus was being like crucified and resurrected? What about that? Why isn't that in like history books? It's only in the Bible. There's like a whole part where like all these old saints or something like that, or bishops or something, not bishops because that would be Catholic, raised from the dead when Jesus arises, and then they like go into Jerusalem. But like, yet there's nothing that's in history books about that. I'm talking about the Bible. But beyond that, if you want to come up and have a discussion, there's a little request button. Yeah, I know Catholics are Christians, but bishops didn't exist when Jesus was supposedly, you know, dying and then rising. Actually, Christians didn't exist. Okay, let me see. Got my song. Let's turn that down. How's everybody doing? How's your Monday going? Mine's going. I worked a little bit. I got to go in the office tomorrow, but that's fine. My vacation starts on Wednesday. I'm excited for that. Going to Vegas. Not that I haven't already been there a bunch of times, but if you are interested in talking, we can have a discussion about any of these topics, or really anything you want to talk about. I'm pretty open to letting the conversation go whichever way it needs to. I think that people want to talk about certain things, and I'm open to a discussion to certain extents. If you were here for my last live, you would know what I'm talking about. Hey, Kay. All right, let's see. I need to get the chat open from YouTube. Chat. Mega strong. Petty tails. Why? Why would you put up a mega and is that a penis or is that no? That's like a bicep. I can't tell. That's a joke from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Big plans in Vegas. I mean, there's a concert I'm going to. Probably gonna, do a little bit of. I'll play some table games. I used to be quite the gambler back in the day. Don't do it. Is this rage bait? Yeah, it is to start out, but really, I want to have a good faith discussion. Like, right, these are to bait people into like talking to me, but it's not necessarily that I'm not going to actually have like a good faith discussion with people. I like to try and see if we can hit some sort of middle ground or understanding. I think it's fruitless to have like debates that are just like, oh, going for the W, right? I think, an honest discussion where people just use regular terms and not like philosophical jargon or try and argue like morality and whether or not it's existent. Why did Christians lost the plot? Well, why don't you come on? You can actually come up and talk to me. If you want to go on a browser, on your phone or anything that you got, as long as it has a microphone, tinyurl.com/deconcall. That's DECONCALL. If you are on TikTok, though, you can come on with the request button. It looks like we do have somebody here. Michael, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me all right?
Yes. All right. Can I get your age just real quick?
I am 29.
All right. And what brings you on?
I guess the second point.
Okay. So yeah,
but I would like to have a clarification. Are you saying Christianity as a whole or American Christians specifically?
Well, at first I did used to have to say like Christianity lost the plot, but that gets into kind of more of a theological debate or discussion. I want to focus more on like Christians as they're being represented right now, and
represented where
in America, and also I mean like there's some Christians in maybe like the Western countries of Europe also, but it's more about Christian nationalism. This idea that connects Trump basically to Christianity so strongly. I don't see it, and I think that's where the plot's getting lost a little bit.
In that, I would more or less agree with you. I myself am Catholic, confirmed this Easter season. I'm not sure if you know how the process of conversion to Catholicism works.
Yeah, I was raised Catholic. I wasn't confirmed
Perfect. Oh, well, there's still time, brother.
I respect Catholics.
Yes,
I respect.
And there are Catholics in America that are more or less influenced by a lot of evangelical cultural aspects that have them lead more towards authoritarianism and Trumpism than is.
We want to call them the fake Catholics, right? Just kidding. I was just reading something about Catholics and how a lot of them like don't realize that like the Eucharist, in Catholic belief that the Eucharist, the bread and the wine actually, theoretically or to a Catholic turn into flesh and blood.
Mm-hmm. Theologically, the literal body and blood of Christ, and both are present in both the bread and the wine.
Yeah, and I just thought that was surprising, but that kind of fits like what we're discussing, right? Like maybe Catholic in name only, right? Like like a rhino, but with Catholics.
A Sino.
Yeah, Sino. Kino? I don't know. We'll work on it. We'll workshop it.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I would more or less agree that Christianity in America, that a large portion of it has completely lost the plot. I think we see that a lot with the war in Iran and the rhetoric that we're getting, especially from people like Pete Hegseth. I think Trump probably describes himself as a Christian just to not openly
That's
not
weird.
be a Christian.
It makes me feel so weird. Like I was just watching a clip from just either like yesterday or maybe even earlier today, but where like Trump is just talking about God like he's a pastor or a priest or something, and it's like what?
He's
I
got
I
he's
don't.
got some really weird people around him.
Yeah, yeah. What's her name is she's like Paula White. That's a wild one. And
Hmm.
then his other spiritual advisor like just was released from a 6 month stay for SA on a
Yeah.
yeah. We don't need to go down that too far. It's pretty gross though, and I like okay. So here's my kind of like stance on things. All right, so I am like a agnostic, atheist. Uh, I, am kind of, I don't really view religion as very helpful, but I
Hmm.
respect it. I also think that like there's a, if it, I don't want to like necessarily take anybody's faith away. And I think that Christians are, kind of a brute fact that I, as an American citizen, like have to deal with. So, if it's not necessarily if you can't beat them, join them, but maybe like help make our lives easier on all ends.
Yeah.
Like Christians, like I think that we can get along as long as like I like James Tallarico. I think that not necessarily because of his political leanings or anything, but I think that he espouses an ideal of like Christianity that I think most people hold,
Hmm.
but the loudest people seem to kind of like go off on tangents, and then that makes other Christians not look so great.
Yeah. If you're, like primarily a culture warrior, I don't think that that's going to be particularly helpful to anyone, especially because whenever Christ in the New Testament is talking about the discernments that he's going to make between Christians, it's always acts of mercy. I was naked and you clothed me. I was hungry and you fed me.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Like where's that all? Like in the Project 2025 heritage, kind of agenda. I don't see it. Like I'm not necessarily like for open borders or anything like that, but I think that we should treat humans
Yeah.
well, right? Like we
Yeah.
should treat each other with respect. So like to dehumanize and to, like say some of the awful stuff that I've heard about, like just like immigrants, for instance, is just
Mm.
wild.
And even if you read the Gospels, specifically Matthew, starts with the family fleeing government violence and
Yeah.
becoming a refugee in the state of Egypt.
Oh, that's now watch it there. I've like tried to run that point before where it's like Jesus was a refugee, and a lot of people will say, well, how do you, if you're a Roman citizen, how do you, or something like that. And it's like, well, obviously, if they're fleeing from the government, they're seeking refuge.
The way to differentiate that is, well, at the time Egypt was formerly Roman, Judea was not. Judea was under occupation, but was not formally annexed until later.
Ah, good to know. Yeah, because I was like, yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I feel like if you're just fleeing from a government, like or any kind of authorities, then you're seeking refuge. You are a
Yeah.
refugee.
Yeah, and the same logic, if you want to apply it to, would apply to people who sought refugee from within the United States, uh, maybe like the Underground Railroad, or people
Mm.
who were fleeing from one part of the country to another, or even Mormons that will work there too.
Yeah, I would agree. I would absolutely agree, and I think that like yeah, the Jesus that like as an agnostic that I would be like yeah, I mean I have no problem with that. Like this guy that's espousing kind of like love each other sort of things and like peace and helping out each other. I think that those are just good uh things to espouse. I don't necessarily know if that holds up as much like to like all of the scripture, but I think that
Mhm.
like the main, as like far as like main takeaways, yeah, because like there's like the whole Jesus, I came with the sword, kind of thing. But I think that that's more up to interpretation, up to debate.
I think the sword is the sword of truth, isn't it?
I've heard that one. There's a lot of like, where he's saying, I personally, I think that Jesus thought that the apocalypse was upon them, and he was, very passionate,
Hmm.
and was saying like, uh, things that I'm going to say are going to be polarizing, and like it's going to split a house possibly, and like I didn't come to just like be about peace only, kind of thing.
Hmm.
So, but I think overall, like the main takeaways of like helping the others, like you said, the you do me wrong when like you treat the least of people, kind of thing. I think that that's a lot of what sticks for Christians,
Hmm.
and I just don't see that in like the Christian nationalist rhetoric.
Well, they're not Christian. They're nationalist.
Right, and yeah,
It,
like
it's
this is a little bit
is
baity, by
dressed
the
up
way.
as Christian.
Right, and like for the most part, I say that it's upon Christians, like in as far as like responsibility, I think a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying people need to do one thing or another, but I think that if Christians want to like have this revival, that a lot of
Hmm.
people talk about, um, that they need to, like maybe try and work at getting Christianity to be appealing, I guess, to the, like maybe the people that are not so dialed in.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask what got you away from Catholicism?
Oh, I was like 6 years old. I was at CCD, and they played this like cartoon. It was called The Proudest Tree, I think is what it's called. And it's also a book. And it was just like very like graphic and scared the crap out of me as a kid. I also just like I couldn't really get into it. I don't know. It just never really like clicked with me
Yeah.
personally. Um, I like I still will attend a Catholic mass like for family, like funerals, weddings, stuff like that. So I think that the like ritual, the the grandeur of it all is interesting. I think there's a lot of beautiful artwork and architecture. I find the doctrine like more appealing than like reformist doctrine. I appreciate that Catholics aren't like sola scriptura,
Hmm.
so I think that they're easier to talk to, as far as like stubbornness and open minded and critical thinking wise.
I think so too. There's a long intellectual tradition within the church. A lot of things, modern civilization comes from things that the church did or sponsored. Be that a lot of hospital systems, a lot of university systems, as well as just the general patronage of arts and science throughout most of medieval history.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't deny that. I don't necessarily think it was all good, right? Like there was a lot of icky stuff in there, but whether or not
Mhm.
that was imperialism, it might not have been espousing Christianity as itself. Could have been imperialism. I think that a little bit of it is intermingled there. But I think that Catholics are very able to look back, pretty like in a critical thinking manner, and say like, okay, yeah, like the Inquisitions and stuff, like those were pretty wild.
Yeah, not everything goes well.
Yeah, I just like the torture and the all of that. I not necessarily like the Protestants were doing very much better. So
No, the European wars of religion were not good.
yeah, and So like that's kind of like that's where I would take the little bit of a stance of like where I think that religion gets people to do like really wild things. I think that there's
Hmm.
also a way to kind of tamper that down. I also think that back then though, lack of uh let me see, like technology maybe, just
Hmm.
lack of just discussion and communication caused a lot of conflict too. There, it's so much nuance though. You can't just like ascribe any one thing to it other than, religion can be a very big platform upon which to, have conflict.
Yeah. As to what you were talking about with communication, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Assyrian Church of the East, but
Go.
there was a schism between them and the Great Church very early on, and I think that was mostly due to communication issues about what they actually believed and what Nestorius believed. Because Nestorianism is a heresy, a condemned heresy, but Nestorius and the churches that were labeled as Nestorian weren't actually teaching that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I'll have to look. So, how do you spell that? Nestorius?
Nestorian. So I think that would be.
N
It
E
starts
S
with
T.
S or probably
Yeah. There. Okay.
Nestor,
There we go.
something like that.
Oh, fifth century Christian theological condemns as heresy that posits Jesus Christ existed as two distinct persons, one human and one divine. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, that's see, I want to get like so when it came back to like why I even know like as much as I do about like the old, I mostly know about the Old Testament. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna lie. When it comes to New Testament, I know some things. Uh when it comes to post like antiquity, I guess, like early Christianity, I finding that like very interesting lately. Different like debates on the Trinity and stuff like how salvation was, like achieved, stuff that the church fathers discussed. I think that those are interesting things that are relevant to explaining to like kind of how we got here. So
Yeah.
not necessarily useless information.
Yeah. The Old Testament is very interesting because if you read it first, it'll come away differently than if you've read it after
Second,
you've read the New Testament,
yeah.
because it'll recontextualize everything. Um, and so that form of reading it is called Christocentric.
Mm.
So it's where you're seeing prefigurations of Christ. Like it's believed that the Father never incarnated. So the person walking in the garden is usually interpreted as Jesus rather than the Father.
Ah. See,
Yeah.
I heard about like the what is it like? Oh, Jesus is seen in the story of like Isaac,
Hmm.
like as the ram, the scapegoat, if you will.
Hmm.
Um, and also in other places, yeah, Genesis. So yeah, I do know what you're saying, like slightly. So yeah, interesting.
And a lot of the things in the New Testament won't fully land either without having read the Old. It becomes kind of like a circular
Yeah,
level of
we'll just read
meaning.
them both at the same time. Start off with the first book of one, and then read the first book of the other, and then the second book of the one, and then the second.
Yeah.
Stagger them out.
There's a reason Bibles come with multiple ribbons in them. But like as you were talking about with like earlier church fathers, one of them is named Tertullian.
Yep.
And he formulated, I think, the Trinity for the first time. So he's a very early church father, and he had an interpretation of the parable of "Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's." That would shatter, I think, a lot of Christian nationalist interpretations of that, because a lot of them will interpret it as that there are separate worldly and divine authorities, and they
Mm-hmm.
each have their own full rights to do as they wish. and that they're both God willed.
Right.
Uh, but Tertullian points out that on when Jesus is asking whose image is on the coin, it's Caesar's. But whose image does Caesar have? And this goes back to Genesis, when man is created in the image of God.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I was like, is this a trivia question from Jesus? I'm sorry, Jesus. I don't know.
No, so the coin bears Caesar's image, but it also bears God's image.
Right.
So when
Okay.
Jesus says, "Render unto Caesar what is Caesar, and unto God what is God's," the interpretation that the Jewish audience would have had at that time is that once you account for God's proportion of things, what Caesar has is essentially nothing.
Mm, okay. I like that. Honestly, I like that explanation just because a lot of people will say things like Trump is, God ordained basically. Anybody in leadership is there because God willed it to be there. There's, you know, debates on whether or not, free will or anything falls into that, but I think that what you're saying hits a little bit better like to home on that topic.
Yeah, and there are so when you go on that kind of interpretation, it's less so much as God has willed something, so much as he has suffered it. And I'm using suffer in like the archaic sense, as into not actively stop something. Like you would suffer a boring conversation if you're too polite to get out of it.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that too. See, I don't know. Like Catholics have a bad rap. I think like publicly. I think
Mhm.
that a lot of it goes back to large story items from abuse stuff. But I think that overall, like as a like when it comes to the theological debate and just kind of working at trying to get along,
Mhm.
I think that Catholics, and I would even admit like Orthodox, like Eastern Orthodox, are a little bit more open to a discussion, uh, as compared to like more of like the reformist Christians. Just
Yeah.
coming from like a secular person's standpoint that has talked to a lot of them, it's almost refreshing every time like a Catholic comes up
Yeah.
and discusses when it somebody that's like evangelical is just like not willing to even like consider anything or like even just like be open to the discussion because
Yeah.
it's almost like an act of heresy in itself or you know blasphemy to question this all-powerful deity, which I get that's scary, but
Yeah. They're like,
geez.
how dare you think the Earth is any older than 6,000 years?
Right and
And
there's no
and
wiggle room at all, like we can't.
no, and that timeline comes from the founder of Seventh Day Adventists
Oh gosh, I've
because
heard.
she had a prophetic vision.
Wasn't like the Post family, the people that made Post cereal, I think I heard that they were Seventh Day Adventists. They were very into going number two, and having
Maybe.
like and like body cleanliness and stuff. And I it's just like, what? This
Yeah.
is a really weird way to take these things. I don't know. I'm sure there's a verse or something that they were just like, we're running with this, guys.
Yeah. And then you have like the system of framework dispensationalism. Are you familiar with what that is?
Uh, just like, can you like explain it for
Sure.
everybody here? Yeah,
So the idea of dispensationalism was formulated by Darby and kind of promulgated through the Schofield Reference Bible. So this dates to like the 1800s, fairly
oh
recent,
yes,
given
okay,
that,
yeah,
yeah. Essentially, it states that the Old Testament is about the Old Covenant, which
that's right.
is a separate dispensation than the New Covenant, so that they're both active and separate. Which is why you have people like Ted Cruz saying that, yes, I believe that Genesis is talking about the modern nation state of Israel, rather than what a Catholic or Orthodox would read it as the any reference to Israel in the Old Testament then becomes the church
Right.
in the new.
You got, yeah,
Uh,
and that like makes a little bit more sense, to at least reason out, to
yeah,
me at least. Like if you're
and
looking at it from a Catholic or Orthodox view.
Yeah, and some of the trouble you get with it, viewing it as a dispensationalist thing, is that you end up having a weird theological commitment to the nation state of Israel. No matter what they do, no matter what happens, and a belief that a global war originating in the Middle East is what's going to be required for Jesus to come back.
And then here we are telling soldiers that what they're doing is bringing about the end times,
Yeah.
even though in the New Testament I believe that no one except for the Father, or I believe is the wording, will
Hmm.
know like when that is.
Not
So
even the Son.
not even the Son. So a little interesting that they could feel like they could bring about. I feel like that's blasphemous in a way. I don't
Oh,
know.
the whole thing is blasphemous. The
Yeah, it
whole
seems so.
the whole thing is a very poor misunderstanding. I don't know if you're familiar with John Kiriakou.
Mm-mm.
He's the CIA agent that got memed around for the last couple months, where his stories will start like in a fast high pitch and then slow down.
What? I'm not familiar with this. I'll have to like look.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up.
He was a CIA agent during the early war on terror and before, and he went to prison for outing the U.S. torture program to media.
Okay,
Only person
gotcha.
who went to prison for the torture program, even though he didn't take part. Um, he
Huh.
essentially said that, like, if your religion started in some guy's basement in the 18th century, I'm not interested in what you have to say.
uh, I mean, based
Yeah.
honestly. Uh, Interesting. I did not know that. So I had a friend that made a video about how if they like truly feel that like what they're doing over in Iran is part of this like holy, I guess, like mission, that seems like human sacrifice to me.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what they were saying. Like, and I agree. Thank you, Rachie. I'm gonna have to look that up, or the karaoke. Okay, thank you for that spelling. It seems like human sacrifice. You're trading human lives for what you think is apparently the coming rapture
Hmm.
or whatever, and that's just wild to me. And also, like, how many people are believing in that? I don't know. Like, I get that, like, a lot of the Hegseth and Doug Wilson and
Hmm.
others are leading this rhetoric, but how many people like in the soldiers like are sitting there like, yeah, we're definitely, but maybe they are. I don't know.
I don't know. The Pentagon has gone full into evangelicism. I don't know if you read. They had an Easter service or an Easter vigil service, but explicitly only for Protestants.
But
That no Catholic option would have been done. Which, I guess
see, I
maybe
knew
they're
I knew it was gonna get to this, like, where it starts off as like, oh, anti-Christian rhetoric, but then it's gonna turn into like, oh well, Catholics aren't Christian,
yeah,
and people are just going to be shoved aside, and then
yeah,
you're gonna find out it's purely this Protestant, very specific, like Seven Mountain, like agenda or whatever you want to
yeah.
say it is, and I didn't know about that. The last
It,
thing I saw was I saw like Trump talking about Iran next to the Easter Bunny to some children, and I was like, this is bizarre,
I
but
think he also tweeted "Praise Allah"
yeah,
in
I
the
saw
last couple
that.
days.
He's dropping F bombs and saying praise Allah. And yeah, like, what is happening? I'm guessing he was being sarcastic and joking, but who knows anymore? I don't know.
Yeah, it's been too long since we've had a president without dementia.
Monty Mater. Sorry, I'm getting people in my TikTok chat that are like, if you like, or if you want to look into karaoke, and then Monty Mater. All right.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He does a lot of media appearances right now, mostly podcasts,
Okay.
stuff like that. And I think he's like the most uh, popular guy on Cameo right now too, which is like an app where you can pay
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
celebrities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Cameo. Sorry, I was reading this. Plaid Go up in TikTok is going off. Plaid, I would love for you, like after we're done talking here, for you to come up. I'd like to hear, just like to have a one-on-one with you. I'm not gonna like disparage you or anything, but what did he say? These guys don't understand. America was founded to get away from the Vatican and Church of England. I don't know if I could agree with that. I don't know if they were necessarily trying to run from the Vatican. That wasn't probably too much of a influence as much as it was the English, like the Church of England
Yeah.
at the time.
It would have been Church of England, unless
I don't know what he's. I don't know what that's all
maybe some
about.
of the Dutch colonists. I don't know
Maybe,
what was
yeah,
going on in the Netherlands at the
like the
time.
French. I don't. Maybe I don't know. He's lost his mind. Is why are the maggots no going crazy like they did with Biden? Yeah, I'm not too much trying to like argue from hypocrisy anymore. I like the what about doesn't really like seem to like get anywhere. But you're right though. Like the people are sorry, and I'm talking to Chad. I apologize for this.
No
But
worries.
people want to know, like, why is it that Biden was, so complained about, and then we're hearing and seeing these things in real time right now, and there's just like silence. But
Oh, because Biden had oil prices go up under his term. It wasn't his fault that they went up, but they did.
right.
Which, America has a God given right to gasoline under $3 a gallon.
Your words, not mine. Your words, not mine.
I'm being sarcastic.
No, I like gas prices, unless you unilaterally decide to, get into a conflict with somebody that is possibly in control of a strait that could,
Hmm.
control the whole economy for oil,
Yep.
uh, aren't usually up to a president.
No, 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 no. Or at least not one singular president.
Right.
And then basically his support of the state of Israel, I think, cost him and then subsequently Kamala a lot of support within their own base.
Oh yeah, I think that if Democrat was trying to win in 2028, they're gonna have to take a strong stance.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, I was almost gonna run just a topic of like, just curious, like why, as like a, like an agnostic atheist, like why should I care about Israel? Like in like a non anti-Semitic sort of way, like just the state of Israel. Like, what is it doing for like me over here in the Midwest of America? Like, I'm just like genuinely curious, because it seems like we are spending tons and tons of money. Uh, and I get like there's a military strategic like part of it all to have like some
Hmm.
sort of ally over in the Middle East. I get that, but I just, yeah, it's hard for me to not see a little bit of what people are saying.
Yeah. The crazy part is that if we never supported Israel, we would not have the enemies that we have in the Middle East. Because a lot of that stems from it. Like Osama bin Laden's stated reason for why he attacked the United States was the
Oh
bombing of
yeah,
Beirut.
in
Uh,
Iran, yeah, that's true, and that
yeah,
was Israel.
yeah. Israel was the one bombing Lebanon,
Well, yeah, and like,
but we were also there
right. I
at
mean,
the time. We were supporting them and backing them.
which is interesting because I don't see that as defense. They'll try and hide it as, like they'll say, oh, we're trying to keep Israel's defense up.
Yeah,
But how
yeah.
is that defense when you're like putting explosives into another country? I don't know.
It's not, and as ghoulish as the reasons for renaming it the Department of War back to what it used to be called, it's
More
it's at
fitting.
least honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. We've lived under a lot of imperialist aggression. Like under a Catholic stance, I don't think you would say that there's been like a justified war since maybe Korea that we've been involved in.
I would
Uh,
agree.
yeah, and you know they'll talk about nation building, bringing democracy to everything, but in the initial shock and awe of in the invasion of Iraq, we destroyed all the wastewater treatment plants.
Yeah, that's wild too. Like, I don't know. I just think about a lot of the people that probably had no say in any of that, and just like how they're just being affected by it all.
And
Sucks.
then and that's the tragedy.
It really is. Well, hey, Michael, I do want to try and see if I can find a little bit of a pushback, like opposition. I think we might be agreeing too much. I'm sure there's things that we could disagree about, but
I try very hard to be very agreeable. So
same. Honestly, I am in a state where my idea, like I said before, was it's I can't undo the past, but I don't think like anybody can, right? But we can
mhm.
certainly try and work towards a better future for everybody, and I think that that comes with respect and honest sharing of ideas, even if we may disagree. Like even fundamentally or anything like that.
Mhm.
To be able to talk and to find some common ground. Uh, I would hope that we have some more discussions like this, but
Of course.
I'm gonna try and move on and see if I can get a new guest though. I really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully I'll have something up here that you just absolutely do not agree with, and we can just go at it.
All right, sounds good. Have a blessed rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Have a good one, buddy. All right. Oop, I just hung up my own little phone line. All right. Thanks, creative. Also, so good to see you. So good to see you, Creative House. Anybody that's watching, please tap the screen. Is Plaid Goat still here? Plaid, let's talk. Where are you? Did they get kicked? I don't see him anymore. Hey, Ristic Orion. I like that name. Happy to be here too. All right. If you are watching on TikTok, please double tap the screen, share out the live to anybody. You can just go, you can click the little arrow and just click copy link. If you're watching on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up if you haven't already. We can take calls from YouTube if you do not agree with anything that I have above my head, or if you want to talk about anything else, I'm more than happy to. Let's see. It is tinyurl.com/deconcall. The YouTube page is Deconstruction Junction. If you are watching from TikTok and you do want to watch like any of the replays from these lives and other lives, it's just Deconstruction Junction, all in one word. The name derives from the idea of deconstructing more than just religion. It's mostly about religion at the moment, but I do truly believe that we can deconstruct from other things too. Misogyny, bigotry, racism, all of those things can be kind of looked at with a critical eye. Let's see. I don't think MAGA is failing. They're just at the tail end of the American fascist movement. Knuckles, I do agree with that. I think like I call it a death rattle. They say that they're loudest right before it's over, and I think that we are experiencing a little bit of that. I'm hoping, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit of hopium in that. uh I do say like they're failing just more as a like way to get the conversation started. But I mean, it isn't looking so great right now. It's not gonna be over. Let's talk about it. Yeah, seriously. I mean, if you want to come up, you're more than welcome. Oh, hold on. Yeah, there you are.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, Knuckles? How you been?
Good.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, I'm not trying to sell you anything.
No, I
So
gotcha.
shit. Well, I just dropped some shit. Sorry. Well, here's my point. I'll give it to you quickly. Like we are just like accepting like the same kind of fascist economics that Mussolini was trying to force upon his people in Italy, you know, all throughout his reign. And it didn't start with Trump. I mean, it started with Reagan. I guess you can call it like trickle down economics, and that translates to corporations having more rights than individuals in the courtroom, literally. I mean, and you can't vote that away. That's, we have these right to work legislations in so many different states.
Yeah, that's wild.
And yeah, and if you're a worker in a county in a state that recognizes that, you don't really have access to the courts. I mean, you could pay a lawyer, but they'll make an argument in court that's just going to generically be defeated, or be defeated automatically by a generic argument, which is like just that. I mean, too big to fail.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the tentacles are way deeper than just this fucking moron in the office, which we should always rail against and speak about for sure. Like I'm not
Right.
here to say we shouldn't. But he is really just a symptom of a much larger issue that I don't think many people have the stomach to discuss. Because it turns into a conversation about who you voted for and why didn't you vote and all this kind of stuff too. Which is like silly as well.
Here's what I think that, like with the No Kings protests, great energy, right? Great energy.
Sure.
Sooner or later, Trump's not going to live forever. We need to keep that energy though, and I'd say we direct it at the Democrats. To be completely honest, I mean, like keep it towards like against fascism and all these things, but the people that are sitting on the sidelines and like just reaping, and I don't even know, they're just like waiting for their next election, or they want to only be means testing. They don't want to ever take a stance on things. I think that we need that same energy for those people too.
Sure.
That they are that like we can show that we are not a cult of personality, for instance.
Yeah, but we might be feeding into the same problem, because it's almost like rooting for one wrestler over another when you know that wrestling is choreographed.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I also like, and it's quick to word it like as like aim it towards the Democrats, but I would say it's more about the policy. It's more about the actual like
but
economy.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine to say that, okay, now in history, in the past maybe 8 years, we can blame Democrats. But the reason why it vacillates is because of kind of like trying to talk about a fundamental root cause problem. It is the system of economics that we want to practice. And that can influence either side. It just depends on who they're in bed with, ideologically, economically, and politically. But those three things just connect, and they coalesce.
It's almost
in many
like
ways.
They're a true trinity.
Yeah, I mean it's really silly. Like, this fucking shit about Epstein and all that stuff is crazy. But to me personally, I'm not trying to dismiss any type of abuse, but like to me the real story is very rich people getting in one room and talking about how to manipulate economies, and that victimizes generations.
Well, like if you read some of like Epstein's emails, he's like talking about like manipulating the economy and manipulating the video game industry. He was like partly in charge of like what was going on with the whole Gamergate situation. And
oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was
crazy.
Like hanging out with the guy that owned 4chan or 8chan or shit. Like, it's just wild.
Well,
and
he was an agent. He was either a government agent or a government asset. And if he was an agent, he was literally employed on the payroll. But if he was an asset, he was just like a confidential informant, quote unquote.
Right. Yeah.
So to me, I would bet on him being one of the two. I wouldn't bet on him being some random rich guy who just got into all these circles. Like that's I wouldn't.
So like not like a Curtis Yarvin, you're saying? Like,
no, hell no.
Man, that guy.
Absolutely, I
don't know how anybody can even like subscribe to that guy's. Like, I don't even see the charisma in it. I don't know.
Well, he's rich. With being rich in our society,
that's wild to me.
Gives you charisma.
It's
Look at
wild to
Elon
me.
Musk.
Yeah, and I've heard, a lot of people like defending like Trump just on like they'll say things like, I've never seen a stupid billionaire. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
What?
Have you heard Elon Musk ever talk? Ever? Yeah. Like, basically you have to be a super genius if you are a billionaire. And it's
No,
like, no,
yeah,
not at
no,
all.
not in
Like,
America.
honestly,
Not in any universe.
no. Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, too, like if I were a billionaire, not to say I even want to be, I don't really care. But if I were, I would not be on a bunch of podcasts and like affecting my stock like profile that all of my riches are basically derived from, and saying just like the wildest shit.
Well,
That's
that could have
also
been by
me.
design.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
we again, like we in the U.S. specifically, we allow what
Yeah.
we call corporations to do almost literally whatever they want if they have the money to do it. He could have had like some shell corporation that had a bunch of put options on his own company. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
you know what put options are. Like,
Yeah, I think
and
that's even going on with the Iran situation with oil and
yeah,
everything.
of course. I mean, and it's not unfounded in history for people to have done this. So I'm not really like speaking crazy conspiracy theories. Like
No,
the
not at all.
2008 crash that we still have yet to arrest people for is like the closest evidence of what I'm talking about. You know,
Yeah,
like we
that
can, yeah.
movie, The Big Short. I mean, it's Hollywood, right? But it's not
And those
necessarily
rating
wrong.
agencies still exist. Those rating agencies still do business, dude.
They just moved it from mortgage-backed loans to like venture capital.
Anything else?
Yeah, it's still the
Anything
same.
else?
It's still the same Ponzi scheme, which like what we're talking about for anybody that's like maybe not understanding is that a Ponzi scheme is basically where it's a pyramid scheme. It is where you have to keep finding people at the bottom to like buy in order to keep the idea of or to keep like the cash flow going. And pretty much what will usually happen in like pyramid schemes and other ways is the people at the top, they get to a point to where they're like, all right, I've made enough, I'm out. And then when they're out, it creates like an avalanche of just debt or where they're wanting to cash in. That happened in 2008 because we were basically running on vibes. Mortgage backed loans is what they were. And what that was saying is, like in variable credit rate, like interest rates. That means that people were taking out loans on that weren't really secured in anything. They were like basically backed in vibes. They were backed in other loans and debt. And the variable interest rate meant that the interest rate could change. It wasn't locked in. And so when it came to be time for people to like cash in, or the people at the top were like backing out, it caused an avalanche. And we're seeing that again now with AI. I would even say like a lot of the stock market is based on vibes like alone. The economy, like we were just saying, like with venture capital, a lot of that is based on just basically vibes. It's being inflated, and then there's nothing that's like delivering on it. So when nothing delivers for a long piece of time, people are going to say, I want my money back. And that's when the people that made the most at the top, that got in early, they'll get out. And then the people at the bottom that just got in, they're screwed. They're left with all the debt.
Yeah.
Oop.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a poker parlor. Like if 10 people are sitting at a poker table and there's 50 other people making bets on whether or not certain poker players will win or not, the fact of the matter is that money is created and circulated by sovereign governments. because no government operates with a money system, I don't think, based on like hard metals like gold and silver.
Yeah,
I don't.
it's so like what you're
Yeah,
describing is like material based currency.
sure.
I don't think
Yes.
that there is like any like developed countries that are completely like gold standard or
Yeah.
like silver
Yeah.
standard. It's mostly fiat currency, which is
Yeah, and it has to be.
yeah.
And that's part of the issue. Like it's a philosophical and economic issue kind of wrapped up into one. Because if you want society to proliferate, you want people to be able to whatever be people, do what they do. You have to have currency, and it might be a giant concession. And again, I'm just this is an existential, like discussion. Like we did humans have to develop this process just to have human society like proliferate to where it is?
I was
I
thinking
think
about
the
that
answer
the
is
other
yes.
day. Yeah.
Like because if you have just gold is illiquid as a currency because you can't readily exchange it in every single market because markets wouldn't exist. You could only exchange it in markets that are created by the authority that's issuing the gold. And I think that like historically we've already come into like hard brick walls like doing that kind of stuff. Um, but it's like coming back to bite us in the ass because we regular people don't understand these concepts because they're not taught.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like one way to approach it, just like thinking as like problem solving slightly, is taxing the rich first of all, and also like to just simply to get like that money that's being hoarded up. If we have to live within this currency, like based society and stuff, uh, you got to get that currency back into circulation. Otherwise,
Mhm.
you're
Yep.
just raising inflation and interest rates. You're printing more money. It's
Yeah.
just hoarding. Like I don't know, give billionaires a sticker or a badge or something that says like, "Hey,
Bro.
you did
Yeah.
it, guy. You did it.
Yeah, and they're
You
like, we're there. Yeah, we're
you
already at
won the
the
money
end. Yeah,
game, and I guess you can have stupid stuff for free hotel rooms or
sure.
something. Like
Oh
you,
god, oh god, yeah.
I don't know.
But they wouldn't have those hotel rooms if it wasn't subsidized by tax dollars because like the biggest subsidy, like if you just wanted to speak in general terms, subsidies in the United States are spent mostly on profit mongering corporations. They're not spent on individuals, poor people, and immigrants. Like if you
That's
really
true.
wanted to, yeah, I mean, well, again, like this is a lesson we learned in 2008 when Occupy Wall Street tried to break through this fourth wall, and it is a fourth wall,
Well, yeah, we're
right?
bailing out banks, but we can't bail out the
Yeah,
people.
like, but well, yeah, well, yeah, like what? Yeah, of course, yep. But we're beyond the pale. Like at this point, like we're arguing about like one moron in office. Like
I get
he's
what you're
not
saying.
really. Yeah. Like he's
Yeah,
like, again, like he's a pimple on the ass of the real fucking problem.
yeah.
And
I think
and
he's
now we're
helped
going to war.
in a
Like
way.
it's just
He's helped
okay.
make it easier for people like yourself and others to, I think, kind
Because
of
he's such a moron. Okay.
well, like it's a frame, just to frame
Yeah.
things and be like, hey, like I don't know, like my buddy RTP, he does the live like every single day. And he does a really good job at framing these things. He loves like talking about like the 2008 housing market crash and how it relates to what we're seeing now. And he does a lot better than I do. Like I understand it. I'm a financial analyst. I do understand it. But like at the same time, I think that you're right. Like we can't just like forget, and go on to like ignorant bliss and keep dealing with this like trickle down uh thing that we've been dealing with for decades and decades, almost like a century here in 3 more decades, 2 more decades, shit. uh
Yeah.
and I think, well, actually I always say like it starts in the 50s, but that's just me.
Well, well, yeah, the 50, but also I think the 60s when Reagan shook hands with Jerry Falwell. I think that was because religion is also part of the conversation. But if you're a financial analyst, I have a specific question
Mhm.
about brokers and how brokers report income. That maybe we can 5 minutes because I have a personal experience. I'm not going to give you too many details, but
uh
are you familiar with manufactured dividends?
Manufactured dividends.
Yeah.
Eh, Go on.
So in 2003, the IRS issued whatever they call it, like a notice or what have you, that they want people to start recording dividends differently on their
Do
positions in the stock market. Like if I have, if I own a certain amount of stock in Apple, but the record, but I didn't tell my broker to hypothecate the shares, and that means that they can lend out those shares as long as they return them by record date of the dividend or X date. It's either one. Whatever date is that the broker records, you have this position, and they will pay you a dividend based on that.
Hmm.
So, yeah. So, well, internally, like brokers can like lend out those shares if they want to, and it's up to the stock borrower department to get those shares back from the other broker that they lent them out to. But it's kind of like fine print in the contract. Like if like as a regular person, if I buy 100 shares of Apple, I also need to go and tell you, not don't lend these shares out. Like it's called hypothecation, or rehypothecation. It's one of those two.
Yeah, seems a little,
Nevertheless, yeah,
huh. No,
yeah,
so like I'm a
you're not
financial
familiar. Okay,
analyst.
yeah,
I don't deal with. I used to do taxes back in the day, like personal taxes.
all right,
But I am more of
all
the
right. Look
like
those up
on
then
a
before we,
public.
yeah, look that up and then we'll talk about it
I
later.
work with
Yeah, look those up.
grants. But like, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, look that stuff up. It's called rehypothecation and hypothecation.
Well, what it
Yeah.
reminds me of, like what jumps out to me about it is how, like for instance, like Elon Musk was able to buy Twitter off of
Mm.
unrealized gains.
Wait, but that's a loan from the broker because
Right, and
unrealized
the
gains means you haven't
collateral,
liquidated your position.
you
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
even paid the
yeah,
taxes on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, and that too. Yeah.
like
Yep.
that's what gets me, right? Like, and that's why I have such a problem when people are like, oh, billionaires pay all kinds of taxes. It's like bullshit.
It's like
They're
no, they
basically manufacturing their own money
they're
by,
using debt as capital. That's
yeah.
exactly what's happening there, and that's only because of the laws that came out of the Reagan era. Is what I'm like. That's my fucking quote unquote theory. Uh,
Yeah, to
and the Clinton era because he did a lot to deregulate
yeah, and now that I
yeah,
do know about,
banking
like when it comes
institutions.
to grant, like
Yeah,
public grants, and like Clinton changed the like structure of how like block grants work, and that opened up, like that's why Brett Favre was able to get millions of dollars, for grant funding, and it was like spent on the like wildest shit, and like it went like it goes a lot like underregulated, which it's
sure.
funny because a lot of people that are taxpayers, they don't like, a lot of them don't like regulation, but it's like if you really care about where your tax money is going, you should be for regulation. And I'm saying this as
Yes.
somebody that like what I do as a financial analyst is I work with large grants and federal funding and how it's regulated. And
Hmm.
basically, I am for regulation. I'm the guy that gets audited, and I'm like, yes, audit me more. Like I take pride in my like the fact that I'm not trying to be corrupt with money. So I think that more regulation, at least when it comes to public funding, is a big deal. And Clinton was a very big part of how that changed in
Yeah,
the
of course.
overall.
And that's why it's difficult to blame either party. We can, every 4 or 8 years, we can have this argument, but I don't think we're getting at the root cause of the problem.
Yeah, and
And
I've been
you
picking
just
up
you
on your
just
bigger
discussed it.
picture
Yeah.
rhetoric. Uh, I think you did like a really good job at connecting the dots of like what what I'm talking about, like when it comes to MAGA, and like how the bigger picture is affecting, like the economy and how like banking, just weird banking shit, like being able to take a loan out on unrealized gains is the wildest thing. Like it's still the wildest thing to me that
Yeah. I mean,
Tesla
it can be
stock.
beneficial. It can be beneficial for regular people, but still they might not have, it all comes down to like the relationship they have with their broker. Obviously, I'm
Yeah,
not going to
it's
have the same relationship that Elon Musk is going to have with Fidelity or what have you. Like it's
what I
like,
see it as though is that they're using unrealized money that is not like reported as income
right,
to
as a capital
secure
investment.
something else. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's wild.
And that
Hey,
capital
Billy.
investment also becomes an unrealized
Also, hey,
gain.
Whim. Sorry, I'm just saying hi. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and that like creating more capital out of like nothing is probably not.
Yeah.
That's like where the collapses come from. That's where the
Well,
Ponzi scheme begins.
yes, but this is where people like, throughout all the emotions people have in this conversation about money and quote unquote redistributing wealth, like this is the nitty gritty that often is not discussed because regular people, even if I have 10 grand, right, I'm a regular 80 hour a week working person, or even 50-hour a week working person, and I can still do that with my broker account. I'm not on the same level as, like you said, Elon Musk or a corporation that can do this and take out more money
Hey, Joe.
and purchase, hectares of land and then do the same thing over and over again.
Well, yeah,
Without
that's where the
actually,
redistribution, it definitely
yes,
comes in. Like when the
exactly,
collapse happened,
because it's
like,
not taxed.
yeah, shorting everybody is, one part of it. But like when the collapse happens, say farms go up for a lot cheaper because people are trying to keep their head above water. A corporation isn't nearly as, in debt. If not, they're
No,
making
they get their
record
money anyway.
profits.
They get
So
their money anyway.
they're able to buy up, land that was, once family owned. Now it's corporate owned. And
Yeah.
that's
And then
where
they get bailed out.
that's where these families that had lots of money, they also get bailed out, and that's where the wealth moves from, like a strong middle class to like all that money that was making the middle class strong moves up to, this higher class or the corporate class.
Yep. And that's the American, and that
Yes,
that leads us to
a path
exactly
back
where
to
we
monarchy. It is a path back to monarchy.
And now we're blaming immigrants again. We're blaming immigrants and the poor again, and we're just like going back to
I was talking about that last live where that common enemy rhetoric. You see it over and over again in history. It was after slavery, after like with indentured servitude, with black people like going back and like coming into the workforce. They were saying, oh, they're taking our jobs. They're, they're ruining the quality of life. They're making things more expensive. Housing is going up, blah, 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 blah. The same is going on with immigrants. Wait, what happened, Knuckles? Oh, you got to go? Okay. But yeah, final thoughts on that was there is a bigger picture. It isn't necessarily just Trump, but goddamn, if Trump hasn't made it easy, at least for some of us to frame some of these discussions. Cobra, come up. What are you talking about? He heard black people and left. Okay. Cobra, come up. I don't understand what your deal is, dude. So for those watching on YouTube, there's somebody named Cobra here in TikTok that is just really obsessed with my physical like body, apparently. Asking if I work out and all these other weird things. I mean, just tell me if you like me or not. Like, we don't need to beat around the bush. Or just come up and talk to me if you don't agree with something. Just making a joke. Chill, bro. I'm not freaking out. I just want to, have discussions. And it sounds to me like you have a lot to say, but you're not really saying much. All right. Thanks, Resist. You're obsessed with my body too. It's not really a wonderful thing, it's not like John Mayer, coded. If anybody wants to come up and talk, the URL, if you're watching on YouTube, it is tinyurl.com/deconcall. If you're watching on TikTok, there is a request button. Otherwise, if you are watching and you are a friendly, please make sure you are tapping and sharing the live out, please. Let's have some discussions. I was kind of hoping to get another panel going. I have a whole new background where I'll bring it up if it happens, but I'm also willing to bring people up to have strong stances on one thing, to see if anybody else may have a strong stance on another, and we'll see how that goes. Why do you guys shave a part in their eyebrows like Jason Momoa now? I actually have a scar right here. I got it when I was like 6-ish, around there. I don't know. I always say 6. It was around kindergarten, preschool. And yeah, I did like accent it, but I do not have hair that grows there. But I also have like caterpillar eyebrows, so when I cut them short, it needs, you know, a little bit of a work. And yeah, people have been cutting lines in their eyebrows forever. But if you were to see it in real life, there is like a scar. You can kind of see it. You see like the little white line there. It was caused by a clamshell. My friend, when we were in preschool, she dropped a clamshell on my face. No one believes, but for sure. Okay, I don't care if you believe me or not. The truth is what it is, right? And I really don't care if you believe me or not. And I really wouldn't care if I just, you know, cut a piece of my eyebrow off. Like, it's a aesthetic thing. Who cares? Clam on the face. Hey, Godless, what's up? Cobra, yeah, if you want to talk about Muslims and Islams, I don't know what Islams means, but yeah, sure, we could talk about Muslims. I don't care. Yeah, I'm in a gang. The eyebrow scarred gang. Is it like the Warriors? You remember that movie? Also was a video game for the Xbox era. Thank you, Godless. I really appreciate that. Everybody who's watching, if you aren't following Godless Engineer, make sure you check him out, because Godless Engineer is awesome and has great content. Oh, Meeks, what's up? You should have followed the Mosaic law and stayed away from the shellfish. Apparently. It wasn't me, though. It was my friend Katie. She, okay, I'll explain the story. So in my parents' like bathroom, there was this cabinet, and I was too like short to get to these really cool shells that were for some reason up on another like higher shelf in this cabinet. And they said you could hear the ocean in them and stuff. And there was a clamshell along with it. And I tried like climbing up the cabinet, not realizing that those like shelves in the cabinet are not secured at all. So they just slipped out, and I fell backwards, and like, you know, I was basically on my back, and my friend Katie like picked up one of the shells, which was a clamshell. And she's looking down at me, and she says like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm all right." And then she just goes like this, boop, and drops a clamshell, which was very sharp, right on my face. Not the first scar I have on my head. This actually, I have one here too, around the same time. I was hit in the head with a roofing shingle. And I won't describe that story. I'll just leave it up to your imagination. What? Jake, I was actually responding to Miko. Also, do you agree that Muslims shouldn't be in America? No, what? I think that Muslims have just as much of a right to be in America as Christians. If you want to frame it that way. Like, what about being a Muslim makes you anti-American? I would say that if something about being Muslim makes you anti-American, then something about being Christian also makes you anti-American. Because it's in the Constitution that America has no established religion. So it's just freedom of all religion. what rights? Where do the right come from? Well, if you read the Constitution, we have certain inalienable rights brought to like given to us by our Creator. It doesn't say like Yahweh or a Christian God or Allah. It just says a Creator. So the point being is that they're establishing inalienable rights, which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness or pursuit of property. Depends on how you want to interpret like what they were trying to take from John Locke, which was the person that they're quoting. Let's see. Wow. Well, we do have somebody here. Thomas Tully, number 3, apparently. Thomas Tully 3. This makes me a little nervous. Is this your third account?
I tell you, these TikTok policemen are just about brutal.
Thomas, can I get your age just real quick?
47.
All right. And what brings you up?
Well, I thought this is funny. MAGA is failing. I mean, we've been doing nothing but winning. I mean, you look at the news over Easter, and I mean, this is not just a win. This is going to go down in the history books, as will in 100 years from now in the history books. They'll talk about TDS being an actual thing. And unfortunately, sir, you've been infected. Looks like.
What? Like TDS, like Trump derangement?
Trump derangement. Yeah, this is where you find everything wrong with everything, and you end up actually become a traitor to your own country through your narcissism. Is what it is. It's a gang mentality, a cult mentality. You're totally, you're lost in the sauce, they call it.
Oh yeah, I feel like I'm very lost in the sauce right now.
I mean, we can go through each one. I mean, do you stand behind men's and women's sports, or?
Sure.
Okay.
I think that we shouldn't make it gender specific. I think that sports should just be based off like benchmarks.
Right,
Why does gender even need to be part of the discussion?
Well,
like, why couldn't you just like measure testosterone or measure estrogen levels or measure like how much weight that they can lift or how fast they run? And
have you looked at any of the results in boxing, for instance, what the women have gone through in terms of head injuries from men punching them in the face? I mean, I don't want to get into it. It's kind of ugly. Let's move on to the fact that your party cannot.
Scrawny men fight big men a lot, and that's a lot.
You can't seem to be part of, rooting for the U.S. What's going on over there? I mean,
What?
Iran's a bad country. We've all been in agreement.
But do you think that? Okay, like, man, we're just like jumping. We're jumping all over the place here. We were talking about men and women's sports there for a second. I think that. Yeah, but I think that we could solve that right by just having benchmarks.
You said that.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
Like I said, you're missing logic. It's called TDS. It's understandable. But moving on to your current situation, how come we're not celebrating?
Yeah, can you explain anything that you just said?
Well, I just mentioned just one of the things that you would think. I just made an example out of you, okay, to say that
Like,
even the most basic logic.
Why are we pivoting though? Like, why can't we stay on just one
pivoting.
topic? No,
you have to pivot. Your entire logic has to pivot into some.
You went from men and women's sports to Iran. You literally pivoted. I was wanting to stick on men and women's sports.
You gave me your answer, which is, why can't we do it this way that actually helps my TDS better? How about we don't? And what's the purpose? What is the purpose? What is your purpose in putting men and women's sports? What is the purpose? Give me your purpose. You don't have one.
I think it would be interesting.
You think it would be interesting? Another way to fit it into your box of TDS.
Can I explain myself instead of having you explain what I'm trying to?
TDS just stand for Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
Stop playing stupid, guys. You know what it means. You know you have it. You know you're infected. Even your own party is starting to admit it.
She's
say I have TDS.
So are you?
People?
Are you even your own people are saying it's a real thing? What's his name? The guy that's always on CNN spouting off at the mouth, that hillbilly from where the hell is he from? He said, I've got TDS and I'm proud of it and I want more of it, he said. I mean, you've come to terms with the fact that you have it. Now you're denying it that it exists. What's TDS? You guys know what it is.
Here,
You've
I think
lost all your
45
logic.
here. I think 45 here might be on your team, so we're not ganging up on you. 45. Can I get your age real quick?
35.
So you're 35, named 45. Okay.
Yeah.
What brings you on?
Well, I wanted
Do you
to
agree with my friend Thomas
smoke
here?
you, but well, I can also elaborate a little bit more about what he's saying. Is
Yeah, I've
there's
noticed
things
that you
called
guys have
sanctioned
to
sports.
interpret each other for each other a lot
No,
of the
we all
time.
have logic.
There's sanctions in sports, like there's women's sports, there's men's sports, and there's actually sanctioned where women compete against men. That it's sanctioned.
There you go.
That exists.
Yeah, like
It
why not make
exists
all
already.
sports co-ed then? I don't understand. Like
There
To
are
fit into
it
your
seems-
TDS
sports.
box, what's the purpose though?
Well,
what's the
here's the
purpose
thing.
of
There are
segregating
co-ed
it just based
sports,
off of
and there are
sex?
also not co-ed sports.
Biological.
So it's like when you have the Boy Scouts, but you introduce the girls into the Boy Scouts. Like, what is that about?
Oh my god! If I had pearls, I'd be clutching them.
Host, are you born a man? Or a
Born a man? I don't think anybody's born a man.
Well, were you born a female or male on your birth
See,
certificate?
it's very funny that you are.
XX chromosome or XY chromosome? Very simple. Just answer.
I don't know. Actually, I haven't been karyotyped.
bet you
Have
don't.
you? Have you been
So therefore,
karyotyped? Do you
that's the
know?
most
Do you
basic
have
knowledge.
XX or XY? Do you know for a fact what you have?
I have
Yes.
a penis.
No, like have you had your DNA?
Were you born with a penis?
Yes, it's called biology, dude.
God, this is so weird. This is
So you
so
can't
fucking
do
weird.
basic stuff.
It's a
Why?
you're
Why does it
biological
matter?
question.
Why does it matter?
Because
Well,
you can't
why are you afraid
even
to answer?
understand basic logic or biology.
No,
Straight up.
I don't think you understand basic logic or biology. To be
Well,
completely honest.
enlighten me then.
Well, first off,
should
the fact that you guys
yourself.
have been like mixing sociological terms with biological terms
What are you
shows
talking
to me.
about?
Man
What
and
are you
woman?
talking about?
Yeah, man and woman are sociological terms.
What are you talking
They
about?
are culturally established.
How
What
do
are you
we
talking about? Why?
differentiate?
How so?
Is there any purpose to differentiate between man and woman? Is
Now-
there any purpose to it? No.
Now,
Do you know-
No.
male
People
and
speak
female.
different
Jesus
languages,
Or for
Christ.
safety
and they
reasons,
still
or
have
for
the
sexual
same
reasons,
terms
there's
in
no
different
reason.
languages.
Get it out, boys.
Well, is there
No,
a
we're
reason?
asking you.
Is there a reason to
I
differentiate?
can't
man and
hear
woman?
what the
Is
fuck
there-
you guys are saying. You're talking over each other.
I know you can't hear anything. You don't listen.
I'm listening.
Oh man.
You guys are doing real good. You're doing great, by the way.
No, you are actually real good.
That's sweet.
Aw.
You are the
Each other
nicest
up.
one, though. You haven't kicked us off yet.
You
Normally
guys
the
haven't really
libs
said
kick us
much, other than you went from men and women's sports.
Well, you wanted to stick on
Well,
women's.
MAGA's win. I'll
men's
just say
sport
MAGA
thing.
is winning. MAGA is winning. Christians have built this country and this world essentially, and through all the turbulent times, there's always Christianity that pulled through. And what do you mean? There's no
Which
LGBTQ
form of Christianity?
agenda. Of course, there is
Which form of Christianity?
Christianity. All
Which one?
Christianity, basic Christianity, and
Presbyterians,
the Christian
Quakers,
faith
Catholics.
in general. And that's
Hold
how
on, I
we
got a
have
super chat here.
forgiveness.
I got a super chat from the Hammer. It says, God, meet each person here with peace, truth, and hope. Show our love, show your love in a real way today, and guide every heart closer to what matters. Amen. Okay.
If we didn't have Christianity, we would have nothing but
Thank you for
chaos.
the
We would
super
have
chat.
barbarians if we didn't have Christianity. That's a fact.
I don't know if that's the only
Barbarians.
one. I mean,
Are you
there's a
telling
lot
me?
of Eastern ideologies that have done really
I'm
good.
Mag, but I'm Hindu. Is that okay?
Well, religion, any type of religion, I think that calls for peace and unity.
I do
and
respect religion.
no,
Yeah.
but I don't think we have to go outside of man and woman. I don't think we need to do that. It's not necessary. I think we can agree that
Well, this guy
Iran
didn't
is a
want to,
dangerous
remember?
country. They have a dangerous ideology, right? We should all be on board on that. But of course, even the most basic
you,
things
Amy.
we can't agree on, and it's sad.
I
like
don't know what,
chromosomes.
like, for instance, Thomas, can you tell me how much, like, the average professional, like, woman sports athlete makes compared
I
to
couldn't
like
tell
the
you that.
like a man?
I would
What's
say
their viewership?
less. I would say less. And there's a reason in the back up the whole difference between man and woman is that men, if you watch
So do you
basketball,
really care about
if you
women's sports, or like my question
Women
is
don't care about women's sports. Basketball, for example,
if you watch women's
UFC, different
basketball,
the
then you'll see
story.
question was,
that.
do you care about women's sports? Because it seems to me like you just care about trans like people and whether or not they can play in a sport.
I like women's rugby. You ever watch women's rugby?
No,
I love that.
Sounds fun.
honestly. Yeah, it sounds great.
It's called a preference of sport, buddy.
Yeah, women weren't even allowed to compete in any formalized sport until like the 1900s. So we
Yeah.
have a long history of a very different understanding of women in sports.
Mhm.
Why can't we change it now?
I just, yeah, it's hard for me to believe that you actually care about women in sports at all. Other than like, unless you frame it around a trans, like issue where I
There's
kind of,
things that are proven. Average man who he's not an athlete. He dressed up as a woman just to troll on a foot race against like serious
where'd Thomas go?
professional
Thomas.
women, and he won. And this dude won. He
This is
doesn't
where
even
I-
try. He didn't even practice.
That's kind of where I push.
Your eyes
for-
are closed. All this stuff is out there, man.
What? So one guy did a thing, so we should like deny a whole subset of people, like
It's not just one
the
guy.
ability to play
It's
to
a
participate in
fuck ton
the
of people
sport.
that have.
Okay. I don't know if that's.
I'm talking about people that troll this whole ideology. Like I said, co-ed sports exist.
Cool.
Do you
So
understand
make
that?
all sports co-ed. I don't understand like why we have to
Why do we have
segregate
to
it
make
on
all
gender.
sports co-ed? That seems a
Yeah,
little
Reverend Chad, if you want to.
authoritarian. Oh, also, here's a question for you. Why don't you ever see a woman that's pretending to be a man compete in a man's sport? I'd like to hear that.
Have you
It's
not
always
watched
don't-
the?
men
hold on.
pretending to be
Hold-
women
have you ever
Benny, I'm
watched?
competing in a
noticing
women-only
something.
sport.
Have you not watched the movie She's the Man? Or like, come
He
on,
doesn't have a
Amanda
problem
Bynes
with all
did
the
that.
women that dressed and lived as men to be in armies throughout history. He just gives a damn if it's a man dressing like a woman.
Another movie, Mulan.
I like Mulan. It was very good.
Why don't you have a problem with the women that dressed and lived as men to be in the armies throughout history? They did it for
I don't.
deceptive
Why don't they
purposes.
promote that more?
Why don't you quit being a bigot and
Right.
What are you
actually
talking
get
about?
educated?
I just agreed with you.
No, you didn't. Because I guarantee
No,
the
I
next thing you're
didn't.
going to say is trans women have no room in a female's bathroom.
What? Why
I
are you trying to
guarantee
predict
the
what I'm going to
next thing
say?
out of your mouth,
I just agreed
because
with
I
you.
know how you bigots talk.
Yeah, are you?
You don't know me at all. And
I
I'm not a
know
bigot.
you are a bigot. I've been here long enough to listen.
How so? Prove it.
Well, I mean, you were
Prove
kind
it.
of being a little bigoted by
How
like
so?
by joking.
Prove it. Prove it.
You were just like mocking Chad's like accent.
And on top of that, you're sitting in here bitching about men being in female sports.
I can mock people's accents. Where's the?
I can
now
mock you
you're
being a fucking
now
bigot
you're
too.
pivoting, aren't you?
I can still call
You're
you a fucking
pivoting
bigot
to
too if you can
accents.
mock me. Oh, maybe somebody needs to
No,
grow the
this
fuck
guy-
up.
Benny over here, the host, was whining about people pivoting from subject
Yeah,
to
I
subject.
really wish that we
So
could
I
have
wanted
like
to
stuck on
go
one topic,
stay on the same
but
subject.
I'm all
Now
for
he's
good
pivoting.
TV. I'm all for good TV. Don't get me wrong. I've been waiting to like bust this out. All right. So let's make this like Jerry Springer.
And by
You
the
know,
way, I'm
Does
a
that
if
mean
we
that I
personal
get
were
friend of
called
all
Ben,
in
so you know
person
how I'm gonna
together,
act.
you wouldn't be acting like this. Not a single one of you.
What do you
Bitch,
say?
I
I
act
would
like
be,
this
though.
in person
D45.
24/7. What is your problem?
Hold on.
The
What do you
only
mean?
person with a problem here
If
is
it was
you.
Jerry Springer in person,
Why don't
y'all
you
wouldn't be
quit
acting like
being
this.
why don't you quit being a closeted homo and come on out? Because all
What are
the
you
really
talking about?
homophobic
Why do you keep
bitches
accusing me
are
of
gay
weird things?
themselves.
You know, maybe you're
Yeah,
just a
maybe.
fucking piece of
Why don't you
shit,
keep your
dude.
transphobia out of my government, bitch?
Hey,
It
amen
ain't
to
your
that.
government. Sorry.
I'm a United States citizen. It's my fucking government. The Constitution says we the people. It does not say Donald Trump.
Hey, Emmy, how are
He's
you?
president right now, and the
I'm good,
I
majority
don't
Benny.
give
voted
two
for him.
flying fuck.
So you can sit back and shut the fuck up
Uh,
and cry all you want.
Oh, Chad, I'm sorry. Somebody got mad at you, or the TikTok robots got mad at you. I don't know. I didn't hear anything too crazy.
Hey,
The TikTok robots have been on fire lately for saying
Jeez.
certain things. I don't know
Yeah.
what they are.
Watch what you say, I guess. Emmy, did you have something to say?
I do.
I like
Hey,
to hear your
45.
thoughts.
I got a question for you, buddy. Because you asked about trans men, why they never compete in, like, why you never hear about them competing against cisgender men, right? That they like
Yes.
don't do it. Okay. So, have you ever heard of the Ironman competitions?
Of course I have.
Okay. There's usually about like 200 teams that in like the relays, right? There's quite a few of them, right?
I think you came on late. This whole argument
Oh,
started
hang on. No, I'm just
because
addressing one thing. I'm not. Hang on. I just asked you a question. You said we can't stay on topic. Don't try to
of
pivot away. I'm
course,
just asking a
we'll
question.
stay on topic.
So there's
I
usually
know
about
exactly what we're
200
talking about.
teams that compete, right? Per gender, typically. Like on the men's Ironman, there's like 200 teams.
Yes.
Um,
Correct.
Just recently, on March 28th, there were 3 transgender men that came in third in that. They beat over 200 other teams. So I don't know why you think that trans men aren't included in this. It's because when those arguments come up that you're hearing, where people are talking about this and wherever you get your information from, they only focus on trans women. So you never hear about it. But we just had 3 transgender men on a relay team come in third in the Ironman. And I'm curious, 45, what place do you think you would come in?
Well, I don't compete in triathlete type things, so very badly.
Okay.
I'd say I come in last, and those guys are way more impressive than I could ever be.
Yeah, I'm not like
Of
athletic
course.
at all, and like
But
I know that in
here's the
women's
point of the
sports, I
conversation.
would lose in any sports, including like elementary school soccer on the
Can you
recess
listen?
field right now because
No,
I'm
well,
like
what was
not that
going on
person.
is
Mm-hmm.
you weren't
What's going on?
listening before. Like this is what the conversation was. Benny over here, our host, said that
I know Benny.
the other guy who was bringing it up, of course you do,
What does that mean?
was
I mean-
pivoting from conversations about, so Benny thinks everything should be co-ed, okay?
I'm just
Okay.
putting that as
I think it's simplified. I don't know if you actually mean that directly. You just mean like
Right.
the gender part shouldn't be such a big deal.
yeah, like
No,
let's-
that's what Benny said.
That's fine. That's his position.
Okay.
I kind of disagree
So
with some
what
of
I'm
that, but that's
saying
okay.
is
Benny and I can
there
disagree
are
on things.
sanctioned female competitions, female against female.
Mm-hmm.
There's men against men,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's
I know how sports
co-ed
work.
competition.
Yep, I'm familiar. I'm 38
So we're
years
not
old, friend.
disagreeing on
I've been
any of
around
that.
sports.
So all these things
sure.
exist.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we trying to put trans into another person's sport?
Well, first of all, we're not trying to put trans in anything. We're trying to allow trans people, because we're not just trans, right? We are people. There's more to us than that. We're
Okay,
trying to
cool.
give them.
I'm
We're
sorry.
trying to give
My
them
bad.
to.
I don't keep up with the
45,
pronouns.
can you let
That's
Emmy
fine.
speak?
We're trying to get, just allow people to compete with the people that they should be competing with. Now, the reason I say that is because one of the things I'm interested
I
in.
want to stop you there. Why is that?
Why is what?
Biologically,
be?
why?
Yeah, because after anywhere from 2 to 3 years of gender affirming hormones, there is no biological advantage. And we also do not see any evidence of trans people dominating in any sports on which they play with cisgender teammates. So we don't see any negative results from it. We have yet to see that in any statistically
It's all over the place. The statistics that I'm saying are
hold on 45
dominating.
I think that this is, you know, for the most part, a civil conversation.
Well, when someone lies, they lie.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna mute you real quick just so we can get this out. Please don't speak over her. Thank you.
You gotta calibrate your nervous system there, bud. You gotta calm down, because this isn't like a competition where I'm just trying to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, there's
because
no
I understand
W that we're
You're not competing now.
So let's look at one then. 45. When it comes to trans women competing in sports and dominating and having a clear biological advantage, let's look at a case. Give me one that you can think of. Name a trans athlete. We'll look at it.
A trans athlete?
Yeah, you said that there's these cases all over the place, and I'm asking for you to give me one example of one of these cases so we can look at it.
Do you think that I fill my brain up with their names?
I think that you care about it.
It took me so long to figure out why they said men can get pregnant.
I understand.
Because this is something that news said for a while.
I get it. 45. We don't need to go on that. Buddy, we don't need to go down to that.
I finally figured it out. They meant that a woman who identifies as
that
a
has
man
nothing to do with what we're talking about, bud.
Can get
that
pregnant.
Has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
And then it blew my mind. I was like, that's what they've been saying. It took me years.
Can we get back on track?
Yeah, let's try and get back on track. 45, please.
You're gish galloping.
Yeah,
so is that a man or a woman? What's the difference?
I'm a woman.
Yeah. Who can get pregnant?
45.
Can you get pregnant?
Actually,
like in a 90s movie.
Possibly in about 10 years.
I'm asking you a yes or no question. Can you get
possibly
impregnated?
Yes, possibly
can you
in
carry
about
to
10
term?
Years. Possibly in about 10 years.
So it doesn't exist right now.
And we are working on it, and we are working on it, and we are very close actually, because we have already been able.
Trying to work on it. And
no, not for us. Not
45. You're being disrespectful here.
45. You gotta listen,
45.
Bud. Calm
please.
down.
Yeah, seriously.
If that's your age, I cannot believe it. I would believe either one of those single digits as your age, but not both of them put together in any combination.
They said 35 as their age. 45, I'm guessing, is a Trump-related thing.
I'm sure it is. But medical doctors are not developing this
Trump-related.
They are not developing this for trans people. Hey, calm down. I'm talking.
You're very fast.
The procedures that they are working on are not for the trans community. They have been working on these procedures for cisgender women who either are born with and intersex people who are either born without a uterus or have had a hysterectomy because of things like cancer or something like that, to allow them to transplant a uterus into that woman. And they have been able to carry to term and have healthy babies. And right now they are working on this for trans women as well.
That sounds
so if you want to sit there and tell me it's not happening,
I think that's cool.
It would be amazing.
I think
it's the one thing I want in life is to
pretend.
carry my own baby.
Badass.
I hope you can one day, but let's not pretend that you were born with the ability.
No, I didn't say that.
To carry your own baby.
I didn't say that. I said.
Who said that?
When did I say that? I said in about 10 years it's possible.
I said.
I never
said. You're pretending right now.
I'm not
because
pretending.
You can't carry a baby.
I disagree. That I can't. Look, I cannot carry a baby currently. In about 10 years, is there a possibility that medically that would be an option?
So that's the end of your argument. In 10 years,
I am acknowledging that.
I think that's
let me
beautiful.
tell you something. 45 is being able to have a baby the only thing that makes a woman a woman?
Right.
Because there are women who are born without uteruses.
That's the point we're talking about
no
right now.
function of their uteruses, or are unable to get pregnant for various reasons, or are unable to safely carry. Right? There are all kinds of women out there who have problems with pregnancy or are unable to get pregnant. And if you're only some of them don't even have
not one of them.
Some of whom do not even
pretend like you are.
Some of them do not even have the organs necessary to be able to do that, but they are cisgender women. I'm not talking about trans women right now. I'm talking about women who are identified as female at birth and identify as women. Those
I know what you're
women,
talking
or
about.
yes,
You're
those are
just
who I'm talking about.
berating
They
to
are
me
the
at
ones.
this point. When people go on about me interrupting them, it's because y'all never stop talking.
I'm
Y'all
saying on
talk too
topic,
much.
you gish galloped.
Hey,
You went from
45.
sports and now we're talking about pregnancy from some reason. So I'd
Thank you,
love
Farrah.
to go back to sports because
Okay,
you
so
came, you hang
what
on,
age
wait, I am
should a
still
kid?
talking. Your words should not be starting in the middle of my sentence.
Because you
Learn how
never
to
stop
control
talking.
yourself,
That's
you
the thing.
you adult. What I'm trying to bring us
No,
back to the
control
point of the
yourself.
conversation. Calm
Pretender.
down. All of this about pregnancy was simply so that you could deflect from my question, which you still have not answered, which is name one transgender athlete who is dominating in their sport. You say the data's everywhere and you cannot show me. So either show me that or stop deflecting and get the fuck out of here because you have nothing. So tell me, name
it's
one,
all over
name
everything. All
one
you have to do is a quick
transgender
search.
athlete who
One-
name one
Yeah, one
transgender
athlete.
athlete. Because if you
It's
care
not
about
my
this so
do I
much,
get
you
paid
should
to
be
do
able
this?
to name
No.
them.
One
If
athlete.
anything I care about,
Do I get
anything I
paid to
care
do
about,
Why
but
would I
I don't
remember
get paid to
those
do this.
names?
I do not get paid to do this. Anytime that I care about something
Okay,
enough to have a strong
so
enough
you talked
opinion on it,
about the
let me
Iron Man
finish.
competition.
Let me finish.
Tell me about the
Let me
female.
finish.
What are their
Let
names?
me finish.
What-
Let me finish. Anytime that I care enough
Tell me
about
the name.
something enough to form an opinion on it and go up on a TikTok live debate and think that I have a point that could actually hold up to scrutiny, I look into it and I memorize information. Otherwise, I'm going up there and just sharing my feelings, which is what you are doing right now because you have zero information. You say you care about this, but you know nothing about it and you can't show me. So until you can do that, I
Well,
don't
why
care
am I
about
the
what you
one
say.
who keeps getting muted?
Because you're talking over
That's
her.
authoritarianism,
You have to wait until
Oh.
she finishes.
Yeah. How's it feel?
and it's him.
You're so bad at this, 45. Like, grow up. Did your
I'm
mom
not gonna
never hug
pretend.
you? Did your mom never hug you? Grow up.
What are you talking about?
You're acting like a child, sir, and you're an
Yeah.
adult.
You're 35.
You're 35.
You're
I'm 38 years
pretending
old.
like
How
you're
am
a
I?
girl,
I'm
dude.
38 years old. How am I able to have a conversation this much better than you?
Seriously.
Because I keep getting silenced by a moderator who's
You
pro
can't say
you.
on topic, sir. They have these things.
I'm
There's this
staying on topic,
diagnosis you
and
can
I
get
have
called
been.
ADHD, and you can get medication for it. I'm on it.
So,
Same.
what age do you think that you should start putting hormone replacement crap?
Hormones? Yeah, I can tell you
Yeah.
very clearly. I agree with the WPATH standards, which is the World Association for Trans Health. Okay, I agree with them that it should be in Tanner. That it should be after Tanner stage 2, which is around 16 to 18 years old. And so I think if it's under 18, if it's between 16 and 18, that should have to, of course, go with parental and physician consent. If they don't give that, that shouldn't be done. And then after 18, I don't care what you do with your own body as long as you're not harming anyone else.
That
You also
sounds
don't have to
reasonable.
transition
Very
to
good,
be
I agree.
trans.
Very good, I agree. What do you think about the parents though when they're being brainwashed into this stuff?
Oh my god.
I don't think they are being brainwashed.
See, this is
I
where the
think that,
agenda
You've never
part.
seen a video of people trying to, or people actually shooting their kids, their little babies, with hormone replacement stuff, and
I
they
have
post
never
it on
seen that.
TikTok?
No,
You've
I
never
have.
seen that?
I have never ever seen that.
Chad,
Look it up.
You can
Go
show
find
me
it.
one case. Show me one case of that. Don't tell me to go find it. You said this is happening. Bring a source because
Why
this is
do
an
I have to show
extravagant
it to you?
claim.
I just told you
I
how to
don't.
find
That's
it.
not
That's a wild
source.
claim.
I just told
That
you how
is
to
not
I
find
would
it.
hope
source.
that you
Look
would
it up.
have a source. I
Look
don't
it
want to.
up.
Honestly, I don't want that in my search history. So can you provide
Actually,
a
you
source?
guys are too scared to look it up
No,
because you know I'm right.
no.
You're
So,
not
so,
right.
so I know what
Hold
your
on.
your
Yeah.
source is 4chan there, bud. I feel like, I mean, they have AI generated shit all over that.
Talk. I've never been on 4chan in my life.
Yeah,
I've never been
I
on
bet your
Reddit in my
search
life.
history would prove
I hate
different.
Facebook.
Hey, 45,
I
are you
did
Christian?
like MySpace. MySpace was cool.
Where'd you
I
see this
think-
video?
He said it was on TikTok.
On TikTok, like I just said, 3 times.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that TikTok would not allow that. But
All
if
you
you
have
can
to
show
do
me
is
a
look it
case of
up.
it,
Look it up.
no, again,
Dude,
I agree
look
with Benny.
it
I
up.
don't want that in my search history.
I don't want my
at all.
algorithm.
I don't want to watch
no.
anything
See,
about
you guys
parents
don't want to
injecting
look
their
it up
children
because
with
you don't
No,
want to
it's
find
not.
out
anything.
that I'm
Hasn't
right.
found it.
No,
That's
because
all it is.
that's
Who
a
found it?
ridiculous claim. And guess what, 45? I have been doing debates
not.
on this topic for the past 2 years on TikTok.
Yeah,
I have
no,
heard
you
just about
haven't.
every single. Yes, I have.
You're a dude
45.
and you're pretending.
So what?
Emmy doesn't have to
45?
do
That's
any
not
of
going to
this.
hurt me.
Yeah.
I don't have to do
That's
any
why
of
I keep
this.
getting muted.
Hey, why would I be pretending anything? Why would you think that this is fake?
Yeah.
Why would
anybody?
I want this?
Yeah. Why would somebody pretend for this?
Emmy could be enjoying her life right now instead of talking to you.
Yeah.
And she's
Seriously.
educating us. I'm very appreciative. Thank you, Emmy.
Yeah.
You're welcome. We're in about
Oh,
the.
I'm
We're in
very
about
I
the.
can
appreciative
tell
of
you
Emmy
what it
too.
is. It's
Buddy,
called
we're-
mental illness.
Hey,
No,
buddy.
Hold on.
that's really disrespectful.
Yeah,
Hey, 45, did you
Jesus
know that,
Christ.
that insulin is a hormone?
Did you know that we used to call mental illness retards?
Wow.
There you go. Drop the slur so you can run, right? You want to say
Yeah.
that so that you get the flag, so you run. Because
Please
you have been
apologize
cornered.
quickly before
I'm
I have
not.
to drop
I'm
you.
not running
Otherwise,
anywhere.
apologize for saying that. Otherwise, I will have to drop you.
Do you know what the word retardant means?
Oh my
So he just
God.
repeats it again. You want the flag? He's a glutton for punishment. That man right there has a humiliation king.
Yeah, it felt that way. What's up, Godless?
Hey, how's it going, y'all? I was actually coming up to ask him if he was Christian because during the whole, can you have a baby sort of discussion there, I was going to be like, with God, all things are possible. So
Right?
That's true.
Uh-huh.
That's true. I mean,
I always like to tell them that because my girlfriend is also transgender, she's a trans woman. I always like to tell them that I cannot get pregnant based on my sex assigned at birth. However, that does not stop my girlfriend and I from trying.
amen. Or me and my
Yeah,
boyfriend.
Love it.
Yep. Because like I might not be able to carry my own, but it doesn't mean we can't try.
Oh, that scares them though. Like, now you're putting a picture in there. Either it scares them or excites them.
Well, let me tell you, I'm not the one that puts a picture in their heads because we know, based on a study from lawsuit.org, that the most trans pornography is watched by conservative people in red states. And in fact, the more conservative and right-wing you are, the more likely you are to be someone who consumes a whole lot more trans pornography. So all of these MAGA people, they watch it in the background. We see it.
There's Freud would have a heyday with this group of people, honestly.
As though bigotry is the result of denying your nature.
Right. It's almost like every whatever they say, accusation is a confession.
Mm-hmm. I would also just, if he's still listening at all, I would really
he's in the
encourage
box.
you.
He's in the guest box.
Well, while you're listening, 45, and you can't interrupt, I just want to let you know that there are these disorders called cluster B disorders. They're personality disorders like narcissism and borderline personality disorders and things like that. You can ask a therapist about those, sir. And it's not scary. I have a diagnosis like that. You mentioned mental health. Yes, there are a lot of things that trans people deal with that result in mental health issues, but being transgender is not mental health. It is not a mental health issue. And that is agreed upon in the DSM-5, which is how we diagnose those. So you can ask your doctor about like mood disorders and like personality disorders. 45, they can get you some help, and that's not an insult.
That also goes to Thomas too earlier. Thomas was saying that we were all that TDS is going to be exposed as this real thing, and I was like, where in the DSM-5 is TDS? But I do know that they have tried to put forth legislation to put TDS in the DSM-5.
Do you know the juicy tidbit about that?
What's that?
Well, the guy that introduced that, I believe it was in Minnesota or something like that. He later got arrested for child porn and enticing a minor and everything like that. Typical MAGA stuff.
I think I did hear about that. Oh my God.
Yeah, but I was going to say,
surprised,
I technically have a mental illness, but that doesn't detract from anything about me. Yeah, I'm diagnosed with clinical depression and shit. I'm in therapy and
Same.
everything like that. So like I don't understand. Like I hate how they try to use the whole mental. It's a mental illness. It's like okay, I don't understand. Like even if you give them that, like what's the point here?
Right.
What's your entire point? Is it to
We
dehumanize
shouldn't.
people?
Yeah, we shouldn't stigmatize
It's yeah.
mental illness at all. Like
Deflecting
Well,
to deal not deal with
especially
reality.
yeah.
living in late stage capitalism, we all have mental illness. It comes with the territory. When you push capitalism to this degree, everybody who is and I say everybody because we even see it's not just the people who have it nice that get to that get to slide by. They all have mental health issues, and at the very top, the mental health issues get the worst in capitalism, and that's why we see things like the e-files, and we see all that stuff. We see people like fucking Robert Morris get released after only 6 months of a 10-year sentence for SA. Right, a pastor of one of the largest churches in the country get released after only 6 months of his 10-year sentence,
And lead
because
spiritual
you get closer to the top in
advisor.
capitalism. Exactly, and one of Trump's spiritual advisors who said Trump was one of the best men he's ever met. The closer you get to the top in capitalism, the worse the mental health stuff gets, and the closer that you get to the bottom, the mental health stuff gets. And so that's why that wage gap and that pay gap is such a big deal, because it, like, mental health wise, it creates this divide where there are very few sane people left.
Yeah, 45. I can't let you up. I'm sorry, but you said a slur with like all 10 toes. It's ableism, and I personally have a stance on that, which is I don't like any slurs of any type to be discussed. So no, you can't come up. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not
And
sorry.
45, really quickly, and I'm gonna drop down. This is the last thing I'll say to 45, because one thing I know about MAGA men, people who call themselves alphas, think like that, is that they are deeply submissive men. They love being told what to do. Christy Noem's husband, or no, Pam Bond was. Which one? Whose
Noem's.
husband was it?
It was
Christy
Noem's
Noem's husband
Yep.
is a clear example of men who appear powerful but love to be submissive. So 45, just for this next few seconds here, I am your mommy, and you're going to do what I say. And you're going to go take a longer time out before you hop up on any other TikTok panel. You're going to calm down. You're going to eat a snack, drink some water, and take a nap, and get that nervous system regulated, so that next time you go up on a panel, you might be able to stay on point and have a coherent thought. It's really sad. So do what mommy says. Go have a nap, eat some food, drink some water, and go to another TikTok panel with a little bit more sense.
I love you, Emmy.
Honestly, like, I'm at the point where you gotta gentle parent them, but they love it. So I'll also put on I'll just go put on my harness while I say this, okay?
Yeah, get the cat of nine tails out and have a little fun with it.
That's all I have to say. I feel like I've done my thing for the day now. So
I appreciate you every time, Emmy. Thank you so much. Like, honestly, having you up, it's been a joy every single time. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I definitely think that we need a lot more LGBTQ people in the conversation, and I applaud you coming up here and being able to face that kind of stuff, because I mean I have a problem with condescension, and so I usually don't take it well, but I thought you did fabulous.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Y'all have a great day. I'll be listening in for a bit.
All right, thank you so much, Emmy. WME's in chat. Algorithm has summoned me. Sorry, I just noticed this on YouTube. Long time no see, buddy. I hope you're doing well. It's an old friend from the deconstruction community that I just haven't seen in a while. I've also been going through a lot, so yeah.
What have you been going through?
Oh, just like my parents. Like the last 6 months or so, my dad had a heart failure and had to get open heart surgery. So I had to walk him through that. And then right before that, my mom was diagnosed with lymphoma, and I had to walk her through and getting her care for chemo and everything. She's in remission, and my dad's doing great though. So that's why I'm back on lives. So yeah, that's why I was kind of saying like, you know, I haven't seen a few people in a long time, so I'm not like ignoring everybody. But how's everybody doing? How's your post Easter, Godless? Wim, how'd your Easters go?
Well, first, I want to say I'm glad that your mom's in remission.
Thank you,
Oh, that's
Gaster. Wow, thank you.
And I went through something similar with my dad recently. My dad was having a sodium deficiency, and his brain, he started having very different mood swings and bipolar symptoms. Thankfully, he's doing okay. But this Easter was a little quiet because they were in Fiji.
Oh shit!
And I just wandered to Rittenhouse Park in Philly and saw people pick eggs, and
I saw those videos. I loved them.
they were so cute. It was such a pretty day. So just wandered.
I was doing a lot of heatheny things. Just sort of sitting on the couch with my wife, watching movies and TV and everything like that. But I've also been pretty hard at work trying to get like a whole bunch of like informational tools set up that I can hopefully launch on like my website and stuff. I mean, it's really for me, but I figured that if other people wanted to take a look at it, they could.
What is your website? Let's pitch it. Is it up? Is it running or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm currently in the middle of trying to figure out a better design for it, but it's just godlessengineering.com. And then, of course, I've got rocketcityreason.com. That one's more fleshed out. But yeah, those are the two websites. I haven't launched any of the stuff that I've been building yet, but I've been building like a Quran verse like database kind of thing. And
well, I was telling you, I've been using your that plugin. Hold on, I did have to restart my computer. I gotta open it up. The little hosting server here that you have for I don't even know how you did it, but I love it. The verses from is it pulling from like an API or something like from Bible?
It's actually Bible Gateway.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where it is. All right.
It puts the search into Bible Gateway, and then it scrapes the information and it stores it in a cache locally.
That's so cool, dude. Like, I love it too. Like, will it display right now? Do I not have it open?
Garage Engineer asked what kind of engineering I do. So I'm a computer and software engineer. Currently working on
helicopters. I was wondering too. Helicopters.
Yeah, like UH-60s, CH-47s, Chinooks, or what they're known as. You know, the big helicopters with the two propellers.
In my hometown, we had a big flood back in like 2011, and they brought out the Chinooks, and those things are so much bigger than like they appear on screen, you know, like or in movies even. And it was just so wild to see them like flying around. You know, I felt like I was in like a war zone or something. It's crazy stuff.
Well, the plugin thing, I mean, it's just a simple web server, and then I had the instructions in there on how to set it up with OBS. So I'm glad that was easy to follow.
Yeah. I got that down. For some reason, my OBS is just being really weird right now, and it's not displaying. I'm sure it's me and it's not the plugin, because I've used it plenty of times on here, but I just love how like seamless it comes up, and just like the ability to pull up without having to like go and add another Windows source and all these other things. Like it makes it so much easier when it's built in. I don't know why though. It's saying it's sent to the display. Maybe it's because I opened up the server after I went live, or I don't know.
Well, if you so you might have to if you opened up the server after you went live, you probably have to refresh the
source. Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Well, if it comes down to it, I'll bring that up. But if anybody ever wants to see it in action, anytime I bring up verses, you'll see it like in any of my previous videos for the last like couple of weeks. That's what I've been using strictly. I don't like going to BibleGateway.com I was using this like program eSword because that does like pull up the like Hebrew and stuff, so that it's fun to get into the Hebrew and do like parallels. But as far as just like bringing up the verses and like how easy you made it for like bringing up the NRSV updated edition, that that's for anybody that's watching that's like a streamer, it's something to look into. It's and
Yeah,
you shared it on our Discord, but go on.
yeah, I did. And I mean, you can still pull up like the Bible Gateway actually does have the Greek, the Koine Greek New Testament and the
Mhm.
Hebrew Old Testament. It's got both of those that you can pull from on there. It just doesn't have the translations. So the next thing, because I got to push an update for it because I got the Quran now pulling it, and then I've got like the whole litany of fallacies that you can display too. I've got and I've got a dictionary on
Dude,
there
that's
now where
awesome.
you can just put in a word if you need to define a word. You can just put it in there real quick.
Hey, sorry, I got Algo's coming in. Algo, are you there? Can you hear me? Wait, hold on. Can you not hear me? I don't know if you guys will be able to hear him because for some reason, I have the worst trouble bridging, and I might have to talk to you about it. The audio between the two. Oh, Algo left. Between Video Ninja and TikTok, I just can't seem to get the guests.
Are you using the voice meter banana?
Well, yeah, like I do use like virtual cables. I've tried using like 2 different virtual cables. It just, I don't know what my problem is, but it's like either the crowd will hear the Video Ninja guest, but the guest like on TikTok can't hear them. Or it'll be some sort of like echo that happens.
Yeah, so it's a thing you got to do where basically you remember in Ghostbusters where Egon was like, "Don't cross the streams."
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to cross the streams in this one is what you got to do because like the output from TikTok Studio has to be fed into the input for the Video Ninja, and then the Video Ninja's output has to be fed into the mic that goes into TikTok Studio. So, well, I could help you out with that one day if you wanted to.
Yeah, I might have to because for some reason, like I swear I've done that and it just like never works out. Like, but also I think my TikTok studio is a little weird. Like compared to other people's. Like whenever you guys talk, it comes through like my primary speaker, and I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to be. It's technicalities. We're probably losing everybody in the weeds here with that. But yeah, one of these days I'll have to pick your brain about that.
Godless, can I ask? You seem to focus a lot on Christianity. Do you also share verses from other biblical texts, like religious texts beyond the Bible, in your app?
Not yet. I use the Bible as like a starting point. Well, what would you be interested in?
Like the
I would
Quran?
just be curious to see how many similar ideas exist across all of the books. I took a world religions class in high school that indicated that they all had a lot of beauty to share with the world and a lot of overlap. It'd be interesting to see if there was some way to explain that to people.
Yeah, so one of the resources that I'm working on right now is I've actually I'm working through the 613 commandments in the Old Testament, and so like I've got a section for commentary where I've researched the scholarly commentary on the actual commandment, and then I've also got a cross references section that it cross references both within Judaism and Christianity and outside of it. So I haven't actually looked at all of the data for that yet. I'm just sort of building the database right now. And so, I mean, I think that's kind of something similar to that. But I think that you're talking about something a bit more extensive, right?
Yeah.
Like
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, like there's definitely like with the commandments and like law code crossover. Like for instance, like the Code of Hammurabi with like the commandments. Or the Ma'at, I can never remember how it's pronounced or like what it's called. It's like the 47 something of Ma'at from Egypt. They have a lot of like, do not commit adultery. But even beyond that, like on a broader sense, there is a lot of like overlap like with earlier Sumerian culture, like for instance like the Epic of Gilgamesh and flood stories. That's just one thing to like bring up.
Yeah, I mean, I was just referring to currently used religious texts. It'd be more interesting to bring in those.
Yeah,
Okay.
I totally agree about that. I think that would be very interesting to pull in there. See if I can figure out a way that doesn't make it all cluttered, or I could even like that particular server thing that Benny has. It's also got a soundboard in it that can manage like sounds, and then it's also got a caller display. Like if you kind of like how some of the call-in shows have like a display that comes up with the person's name and everything. Like it's got a system where you can set that up too.
Yeah, what I do like for YouTube is I do a little bit and it looks so ridiculous sometimes. That's why you guys might notice like you have like an infinity like going on behind you. Is I literally just do another, like I use a virtual camera that takes my OBS, puts it into TikTok, and then I do another display capture of the TikTok guests, like your guys' little boxes, and then bring it back into the virtual camera, which creates an infinity. Like if you guys weren't there, it would just like have this little infinity looking thing, like a black hole almost. And yeah, the overlay for like guests, I might look into that because all it shows is just icons, really. It doesn't even show your guys' names. So a lot of people that are watching or rewatching videos, they just see an icon. They don't really have a name to go off of unless somebody mentions their name throughout the live.
Yeah, I've actually got, I only use this for myself, but I've actually got a comment aggregator for live streams that will pull in both YouTube and TikTok like comments. And to where I don't know if you've seen any of my lives recently, but I'll show comments on the screen. They pop in on the screen and everything. Yeah, I built that myself. So I'm wondering if there's a way that I can figure out how to pull like the guest information from it too.
Yeah, like I think that would be cool. Oh, 45 is still here. I win every argument. Come on. Come on.
Well, I've got to head on out of here. It was
I
great
appreciate
hanging
you.
out for a bit.
Yeah, hey, I really appreciate you guys coming up. Good to see you, and always are welcome on this stream for sure. And thank you for everything you've given the community and everything. So just appreciate you, Godless.
No, I appreciate y'all too. Y'all are doing great. So I'll be listening. All right.
All right.
See you. I'm being quiet tonight.
So, no, I mean, honestly, I might wrap up the show a little early. I don't mind wrapping up a little early. I usually try and hit some kind of like benchmarks as far as viewership goes. As long as I hit like at least a certain number, then I'm like, okay, we're doing all right. So the main reason like I do these lives, beyond just like, having good discussions and sometimes good TV, is to help this like little bit of a community that I have on Discord with some other streamers about deconstructing like religion, just kind of not necessarily like breaking anybody's faith, but more so like figuring out how we got here and then how do we go forward, and without so much as so much like vilifying and hatred and all these other things. I think it's important to like critically think on many levels. Just deconstructing, I think, is just healthy.
And even within the religions, I was in a critical group that discussed the Bible in depth, and we were very devout Christians. This is in high school.
Yeah.
That I didn't see enough of that when I was in high school, and I would encourage even that.
I think that's. I think like most people that are like unbelievers or something like would agree. Like, yeah, I think that was awesome. I think that it's interesting too. Like all of my rabbi friends and like Jewish friends, they just know so much about the minutia and like the way they look at like how they critically think about like verses and stuff compared to certain sects of Christianity. I will say like some sects of Christianity will put some critical thinking into it. Some will just like, they'll just take whatever their pastor gives them as gospel, and that is just it. They won't even look into it.
Mm-hmm.
And also 45, you weren't censored. like you were gonna put the live at risk. I couldn't keep you up. I've literally been like shut down before other people saying those things, which also it's just like ugly. It's just ugly.
You'd have to be saying something of value to really be censored. You were just saying stupid stuff.
Yeah, it was not doing your whole like goal very much justice. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap it up because it's gonna just end up with us like arguing with 45 through the chat. Yes, and that was Godless Engineer Almighty, the Godless Engineer from the Atheist Experience and The Line and many other places. A very, very like appreciated member of the Deconstruction Junction community. And also, my good friend Wim here is amazing. Make sure you're following Wim. Wim is just a great person all around. I have nothing bad to say about you.
Well, thank you.
Give me something bad to say about you.
I'll try.
All right, everybody. I'm going to sign off. I will see you around these TikTok streets. I'm not sure who else is on or live on YouTube or anywhere else. But if you know what, just take yourself wherever the Lord will take you and just send them, a message saying that Bendy brought you there and that I'm actually the Lord. So bye. Have a good night. Bye, YouTube.